and welcome to Diabetes Connections in the News. I'm Stacey Sims, and these are the top diabetes stories and headlines of the past 7 days. In the News is brought to you by the T1D Exchange. T1D Exchange is a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving outcomes for the entire T1D population. Our top story this week, 2 senators have unveiled legislation aimed at lowering the cost of insulin, but not for the uninsured. This is a bipartisan bill that would lower patients' cost to $35 a month for those with commercial insurance and on Medicare. It would eliminate the rebates drug companies pay to pharmacy benefit managers if the drug companies kept the overall price of insulin below that level. Democrats are also in the midst of talks on a party line package on President Biden's economic agenda that would likely include reductions in insulin costs as well as broader measures aimed at lowering drug prices, which could complicate any push for a standalone insulin measure. This change has enormous support among Americans, but can't seem to get any real traction in Washington, despite who's in power. So we'll see what happens with this one. Nasal insulin doesn't look like it works too well on diabetes, but a new study shows it may help to slow age-related mental decline. And nasal insulin is just as it sounds. You would spray it, just like a nasal spray, into your nose. This study found that after 12 months of once-daily intranasal insulin, people with diabetes performed better on cognitive tests than those with diabetes in the placebo group. People without diabetes also displayed improvements with the once-daily spray. The biggest improvements in the non-diabetic group were seen in the people who started the trial with pre-diabetes, which suggests the treatment might be most effective at slowing cognitive decline in either people with diabetes or those with pre-diabetes. Go to sleep and don't breathe too much. Researchers in the UK will test hypoxia to treat type 2. Hypoxia is a state where the body does not receive sufficient amounts of oxygen. Multiple studies have shown hypoxia improves blood sugar levels and helps in weight loss. Scientists do not fully understand how it works. It is suggested hypoxia burns more calories in the body, resulting in a lower appetite. So these researchers want to recruit volunteers to find out more. Each volunteer will be provided with a sleeping tent. They use this at home for 10-day periods on 2 separate occasions. And for one of the nights, the oxygen levels will be set to 15%. That sounds ridiculous, but the air we breathe now is only about 21% oxygen. They say 15% is pretty typical at high altitudes or inside an airplane. Another look at sleeping in type 2, any exposure to light may increase the risk. Big sleep study at Northwestern University found exposure to any amount of light during sleep was correlated with the higher prevalence of diabetes, obesity, and hypertension in both older men and women. A study published earlier this year by the same team found for healthy adults in their 20s, sleeping only one night with a dim light, like a TV set with the sound off, raised the blood sugar and heart rate. Interestingly, this wasn't done in a sleep lab. They sent everybody home and used an actigraph, a small device worn like a wristwatch that measures sleep cycles, average movement, and light exposure. If you're worried about this, the researchers say don't charge your laptop or cell phone in your bedroom because the blue light can be disruptive. Use a sleep mask and use room-darkening bed shades. You also might consider night lights very low to the ground that have an amber or red color, which apparently is less disruptive. Nice story out of Kansas City, where Chiefs offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. publicly enrolled himself in a TrialNet study. His brother lives with type 1, and his father died of DKA without knowing he had diabetes. Brown says he hopes participating in the trial will help others while helping himself and his family. Right back to the news in a moment, but first, as I mentioned, Diabetes Connections in the News is brought to you by the T1D Exchange. And the T1D Exchange Registry is an online research study. It's designed to harness the power of individuals with type 1. It's a research study conducted online over time, designed to foster innovation and improve the lives of people with T1D. Personal information remains confidential. Participation is fully voluntary. Once enrolled, participants will complete annual surveys and have the opportunity to sign up for other studies on specific topics related to T1D. By sharing opinions, experiences, and data, patients can help advance meaningful T1D treatment, care, and policy. Sign up at t1dexchange.org/Stacey. That is t1dexchange.org/STACEY. And congratulations to the great team of Ginger Vieira and Mike Lawson on their newest book, Ain't Gonna Hide My T1D. Sherry the sheep loves to draw and play basketball, but she's worried about what her friends will think if they see her insulin and CGM. Ginger and Mike are longtime advocates who both live with type 1. This is their 3rd children's book together. I think they do a great job of balancing fun and education. And finally, The Human Trial premieres this weekend. This is a documentary all about stem cell transplantation as a functional cure for type 1. I first spoke to the people behind this film back in 2016. They were well underway at that time, and the movie follows the first 2 patients in the ViaCyte trials. You can host your own screening of this movie. I will link up more information, as I do with all of these stories, in the show notes and at diabetes-connections.com. And The Human Trial will be the subject of next week's long-format show. My interview with Lisa Hepner is a follow-up to the one we did 6 years ago when we first talked about this project. This time around, we go into the details of stem cell research, what's changed, what she has seen behind the scenes. The current long-format episode out now is all about Skirt My Pump, the ingenious idea from a woman who's lived with type 1 for 40 years and got fed up figuring out where to put her pump. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. And that is In the News for this week. If you like it, please share it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you back here soon.
Diabetes Connections is a production of Stacey Sims Media. All rights reserved, all wrongs avenged.